And now it's time for headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, Who viewers. Welcome back to Who's Views. It's headlines. Here we are. It is Monday, the 8th of July. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on into the chat. We have got lots to talk about on this big show for you, including, have you heard, Moffat's Joy is on the way. Oh, yes, it is indeed. RTD, is he taking the P? Because he seems to be rewriting the show's history yet again. So not just Chibnall, but based on this, and he seems to think it's okay. And we've got some other issues coming up as well. So let's crack on straight into this. I'm going to bring the guys on straight away. We've got Paul and we've got third Dr. Ian. Hello. What a lovely day it's been today.
Certainly has. Evening all.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to start actually by saying a few hellos and thank yous to a lot of people. Thank you so much if you got in touch with us about our Who's Views reviews of Death to the Daleks last night. We did that one last night, didn't we, guys? And what a relief that was, everybody.
It was lovely. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Wasn't it? We just got to talk about proper Doctor Who, not like on this particular show. We did. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to the following for the comments, sending us comments about it. Michael Webster, Lex Beta Warber, Nibbles 69, Smiley People 5978, Beastie Baker, Sean Cryer, Silver Dalek, John Cartwright, Matt Ensby, Anspiel, sorry, 9341, Cody W1, David ITFC, Mudcrab 3420, and user 0R30E4CQ6M. You know who you are. But thank you so much for all those lovely messages about last night's show, especially the bit where Katie Manning joined us. So thank you so much, everybody, for that. It was great to hear you, but it was such a lovely, lovely, lovely show last night. I really, really enjoyed myself. Yeah. So brilliant. Listen, they're doing it again in the chat. Thank you. Look at this. We've got Graham saying last night was so enjoyable, wasn't it? It really was.
The one beneficial thing about this crazy era that we've got now and had since 2017 is that it just lets you enjoy the proper stuff on an even better level.
Oh, definitely. That was pure therapy, wasn't it, last night? It's fantastic. Yeah.
If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch it because it is brilliant. And as I say, there is a little guest appearance there from the one and only Katie Manning as well. So thank you to everybody that's saying good evening to us this evening. And Matthew was saying to us here, Death is a classic. That sounds like an Agatha Christie book, doesn't it, really?
10 out of 10 for me.
I give it a 10 on the scores and the TARDIS stores. Limekins is here saying evening all as well. And Pooh's Lost Eyes is saying happy belated to the greatest Doctor of all. Absolutely. Divine and Dragon telling us here, it was such a classic True Who story. How I missed John Pertwee. Here. Oh, yeah. I mean, goodness me. I mean, we really do. We missed him. And you could tell last night we missed him. I mean, gosh. He would have been 105. I'm still quite got over that. Hi, Lisa. And hi, Dalek Eye.
I'm waiting for the DNA test, okay?
Matt532 and Paul Rose. Hi, JT Pulling. Watched the start of last night. Kudos for the Katie message. She still looks great. Legion James is with us saying hello as well. And Vortex Spinner, hello to you. Welcome to Who's Views. Pertwee's a legend. Still. Absolutely. Still is. And Divine and Dragon is saying it was very therapeutic. And John is saying to us, John Mason is saying, more of last night, please. Well, if you enjoyed last night, stay with us. Make sure you have subscribed to us here on Who's Views, because yes, there are more Who's Views reviews on the way. Some of them will be themed. That's all I'm saying. It's like the box sets, the DVD box sets used to get out. We're waiting, but yes, they're all on the way. And also we've got some other stuff coming up for you as well. We've got our review of Carry On Cleo coming up very soon, which John Pertwee makes a cameo appearance in. A very, very memorable part in that. He's just so, he just comes on and does his bit, and then it's there with you forever.
Oh, the soothsayer, fantastic stuff. Yeah.
It's brilliant. So yes, we've got all that, and also we're going to be starting some our Hammer horror reviews coming up soon as well. So thank you for that. Lisa is saying last night was my favorite stream so far. And Martin, Thank you for your message as well, Martin. Lovely to hear from you. Great viewing last night. Perhaps JT can be season 3 showrunner. I'm available, BBC Studios. But you won't get it anytime soon because I'd want it rested for a couple of years so I could really sort it out. Julianne is agreeing with it as well. Us last night was therapeutic. That's good to know. I'm really chuffed about that. Legion James was saying that Katie was a fabulous surprise. Oh, Matthew is saying to us here, I am more and more convinced that RTD is working for the WEF. What's that?
World Economic Forum.
Oh, I see. Well, we're going to be talking about him in this show, so stay with us.
Great Reset and all that rubbish.
Oh, I see. Okay.
She is so bad.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I love it.
Bad being good, naturally.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. John Cartwright is putting out here now. Then, how are you all doing? Everyone, check to see if you're subscribed. I was unsubscribed again. Yeah, we have to keep saying this now. If you have already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel. We're not sure what's going on. We have heard that apparently there's been some updates on the system or something like that on this platform. We don't know, but please make sure that you are. But thanks, Mike Disney, for saying hello. And Talons of Wayne Chiang is back. Hello, all. Back off my holes. I hoped you had a lovely time. Vortex Spinner is saying to us, RTD is the master of nothing. Scathing, aren't they? Scathing to the point. No prisoners there. All right, so let's crack on because we do have an awful lot to get through on this particular show, and we want to start with a laugh. Of sorts. I have to say, if you're taking part in what we're going to be talking about now, you need your head testing, man. Honest to goodness, because this is the news. Have you heard that this particular chap who was photographed, as you can see here, over the weekend at Wimbledon? Oh, bless Wimbledon. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, so there he is. See, look, he can wear a suit when he wants to.
Yeah, and they're bringing back medics. What's going on?
It's a bit unshapely, isn't it?
He doesn't look comfortable.
No, that's because he's wearing clothes, and he doesn't like wearing shirts. Remember, he doesn't like shirts.
Yeah.
Isn't the fashion nowadays to wear a very tight suit? It looks like you're wearing your little brother's suit instead of your own.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. Is that the fashion now? I don't know. But this is, of course, our leading man.
The front. Do you think that's just the front? If you turn around, it's like stockings and suspenders.
like Kenny Everett.
Kenny Everett. Oh, I love that. The civil servant. You're all. Anyway. Yes, back to headlines. Yeah, so this is, of course, Ncuti Gatwa, as we saw that, photographed at Wimbledon. But did you know, have you heard, he is going to be at London Comic Con this November, the 16th to the 17th of November. I don't have the actual date. I don't know if he's doing both dates or one. Usually when this thing sort of happens, it's one, isn't it? To cram everybody in and they get you to pay for both dates. But this will be, of course, his first Doctor Who related convention. And I was thinking, usually they're not allowed to do this when they're in contract. Now, not that I'm speculating in any way, but it's either that they've changed the terms and conditions of the contract, or he's fulfilled his current contract and hasn't signed yet for a new contract in whatever shape or form Series 3 comes in.
Yeah. Doctor Who fans speculating. That's a new thing, isn't it?
That's a new headline. Doctor Who fan speculates. But do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying, everybody? And that made me think, because I just thought, crikey. Now, the other thing about this, oh, hang on, what's Garbage saying here? If you watch the Wimbledon, if you watch the video of Wimbledon after this photo shoot, you then burst into tears for 5 minutes for no reason.
Well, he said about Andy Murray giving up tennis. That'll be what it is, yeah. So.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is interesting, isn't it, John? I think it's interesting. Michael Q is telling me that, oh, cheers, stop messing about, cheers. But do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm getting at here?
Do you think it's because this time it's not a BBC employee, it's a Bad Wolf employee?
No, I don't know. I don't know because I don't know.
The rules up to now have been BBC employed doctors, haven't they?
Yes, for nigh on 60 years.
Yeah.
And now it's BBC Studios with Bad Wolf, as we know. But I just thought it was interesting that on this particular occasion, he's you know, he's obviously signed a contract which would last however long he was doing it. Well, 2 years he did it for, didn't he? Now he could be out of contract, ready to accept a third one in whatever shape or form, because we don't know whether the third one, well, we know it's going to go ahead in whatever form. But do you know what I'm saying? I just thought it was very, very interesting.
Unless, of course, we want to speculate he's regenerated at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to start that rumor, because that's not what we're about on this channel, is it?
I know,
But,
I know. I'm just teasing.
We don't grasp at straws on this channel. Oh no, we don't. We wait till it's all official. Martha Jones, please. Anyway, we've got Paul Rose saying to us here, JT, he did say a while ago he wasn't contracted after series 2 and was looking forward to doing some stage work. There we go. Thank you, Paul. You've cleared that up for me. So when they do go for series 3 in whatever format series 3 will be, it'll be interesting now, Who viewers, won't it? Because that wasn't the big success they all assumed it was going to be, so he wouldn't be able to command more money, surely.
Yeah.
Can of worms.
Pay cut, probably.
That's why he's doing the convention circuit now. That's why.
Well,
for money.
I just thought it was very early, because none of the modern day versions have got to do this at all, do they? You know, Matthew was saying to us here, "Oh God, please don't give us false hope that he might be gone." I'm not suggesting Matthew. I'm sorry if I've done that. I'm not suggesting he may have done. I'm just suggesting the fact that, you know, it's very interesting the fact that he can do this earlier in his tenure than anybody else can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Richard is saying to us, look, should you get at Comic Con? Is that Tervials available? Tervials available for £100 each, plenty available. I don't know what that means.
Vials of tears.
Oh, what?
Little glass vials.
I see. Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. I've had a long day. So that's funny.
I couldn't believe that, though. I could.
I've got the prices. Have you seen these, Who viewers? Here we go. Gatwa's prices for London, November 2024. Oh, God. For a standard auto, you're insane if you're doing this. You're insane because you've got to pay to get in the blooming building as well. A standard autograph is £125. A standard photo shoot is £95. Talk, just to hear him talk, that's £20.
I'd pay 50 for him not to.
Yeah.
The now traditional green screen photo shoot, £140.
I do think some of that goes to charity, I believe, based on the McGann one that I did. Did I mention I met McGann earlier in the year?
Yes, you have done. Yeah. It doesn't say that it does on all the information. Really? And then there's this thing called a Diamond Pass, which I believe involves everything. £295.
Bloody hell!
This is incredible.
I think he's outpriced himself a little bit, I think, to be fair.
And yet, I have seen a few
quid though, really.
Yeah, I have seen a few fans on social media saying that they've just bought it. Wow, I'm stunned. I cannot believe you didn't get this in Pertwee's day. Oh no, he scrolled all over your book for nothing.
I will be interested to see if there's any photographs of the queues that he may or may not have, depending on his demand of people's interest, you know?
I don't know what we've got here. Isn't he contracted until 2029, says Julianne, unless they've released him, please God. I love our audience, just so scathing and to the point. It's fabulous. It's right on the button. I don't think he was. I think there were options. In the industry, they have this thing called options where you do so many, and then there's options that may be picked up or may not be picked up. But there's options. I always hated that word because it meant, oh, you're not coming back. Oh, you're not going to get that. You know, oh, that's not going. Oh, I hated it.
Well, Paul McGann had an option for 7 years on the TV movie, didn't he? That happened. Yeah, so
he did. Yeah, the option on 7 years. Legion of James is saying to us, JT, that was an impressive Kenneth impression. Ooh, matron. Yes, thank you very much. Dalek I is saying to you, have you heard calling people babe is catching on in the USA thanks to Doctor Who and Gatwa? No, I haven't. And stop, behave yourself, Dalek I. Stop it. It's not true. What else we got here from you all as well? Roll up, says Neville. Get your bottles of Gatwa's tears here. I wonder if they could actually market that because nothing else is going to sell.
I wonder how much that would cost. More than 100 quid, I would imagine. Yeah.
I've just had a thought live on the show. Make a note. What if he's actually there with the permission of BBC Studios to actually flog all the merchandise? What if BBC Studios are going to have a Comic-Con stand with him where they've got their annual and then their novels, their original novels, their Target versions, their action figure or whatever else it's going to be? Or maybe that's part of it as well.
Maybe, yeah.
But he's going to make a lot of money on that day as well from all these people that are going along to profess their undying love for him. Lex is saying to us here, who will go to London Comic Con as the show is not working? Are they trying to get fans to watch Not Winning Me Over? But it's Lex, it's the big Comic Con, so he's not the only one there. There's quite a lot of people from other franchises and lovely shows there as well. So it's one of those big things where you get Lee Majors in one corner and Colin Baker in another and that sort of thing. Yeah. And fans will flock to it as well, just in case there is that elusive meeting of doctors. Because in Comic Cons they cross the floor, they're next to each other, they see each other. It could happen.
There was a lovely one with Eccleston and Matt Smith. I remember seeing that little video about that. That was lovely.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was that was years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Talons, you are naughty and wicked. Wonder what he's charging for a photo and a twerk. I'm glad you said twerk. Honestly, stoning around here. And Legions of James is saying they will cast a female POC to play the next Doctor when he leaves, or a drag queen. It is Disney. There's not going to be another Doctor. This is it. This is your last. Get on with it. Yes, it's true. Although I didn't put it quite that way, Neville. so stop with the naughtiness. And Files of Tears is Divining Dragon. Yeah. Lots and lots and lots of you here to do it. But I couldn't believe that. Thank you for all your comments. Keep them coming. I'll try and keep up with you, but I can't. I'm going to be honest with you now because you're all going, oh, so quick. This is great. Maybe he's selling copies of Twerking Through Time, the Ncuti Gatwa story. Trademark that quick.
Yeah.
Because you can the Gatwa years, Twerking Through Time. Trademark it, Paul.
Yeah.
And Thomas is with us. Hello, Thomas. How are you? I wonder if people come over to him and go, what you comers then? I do hope so. I do hope so. And what's Sam saying to us? Sam is saying to us at the Comic Con at the weekend, Colin was £25 and McCoy was 30 for a comparison.
Yeah.
And they just sell because people queue for hours for them. Yeah. I can get. Martin reckons he's cashing in before it all goes pear-shaped. What do you mean before?
It's already gone pear-shaped, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been pear-shaped for a while, really.
I would think so. I really do think so. Hello, SG. How are you? He's just saying that apparently Colin and Bonnie are charging much less. They will. And DD, what are you saying to us? Go down and do a photo of the queue. I really want to see how many actually bother to stop by. Do you know what? Me going to London just for that? No, thank you. It costs a bloody fortune. Thanks, DD.
Well, if anyone goes, send us some photographs. That'd be lovely, just to see how big it was. Yeah.
We'll get somebody to go for us if they're going anyway. I'm not going to say to somebody, can you just go to that? And if somebody's going, or if you know somebody that's going, get them to get in touch and we will actually ask them for some photographs. That would be great, wouldn't it?
In the true style of BBC's ratings counting and everything, they'll say it's a huge queue and it'll actually be 3 people because technically 3 people form a queue. But they've spin it somehow, wouldn't they? Really.
Oh, Ian, third Doctor Ian, what's he like?
And over the 2 days, it'll count as like about 3 million or something, won't it?
Yeah.
But didn't they do that at one of the ones that Whittaker started to attend to? And it was just a room full of about 100 or something, and they said there were hundreds and hundreds or something.
Yeah.
But there it is.
If you want a queue, go to bloody Longley in 1983.
That was a queue. But there you go. If you are interested, Ncuti Gatwa will be making his Doctor Who convention debut at London Comic Con at the 16th to the 17th of November 2024 at Olympia, which is a massive venue, of course. And you better start saving up because the standard autograph, £125, and to talk to him, £20 to talk to it. Listen, why do you want to talk to an actor anyway? For heaven's sake, they're all thick, allegedly. Hello. It's been a long day, but yeah, let's hope that hopefully he won't go in this outfit.
No.
Here he is at Knightsbridge in his gym. When I go to the gym, everybody's fully clothed, Mr. Gatwa. This is obviously a private one. Do they do things differently in there? What is
Has he got his own gym in his own house?
No, I don't think so. But actually, we probably got the money now. But listen, what is it with this generation and them having to show every aspect of their life, especially stuff like this? I mean, we have bred a generation of narcissists, haven't we? And that photograph proves it. And, you know, I was wondering, I wonder what John Pertwee would say about this. Appropriately, I am dressed there, I thought, as well. Do you remember this, everybody? I couldn't help myself, guys. Had to get that in at some point, didn't I? I've had that for months waiting for the one. Anyway, there we go. But that's it. So there's the first item for headlines tonight. You're very welcome. You are watching Who's News. This is Headlines. Monday, the 8th of July, we are live. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of content for you. We've got lots of content coming up. Halfway to the next episode as well. We're going to be talking about that very, very soon. But I want to move on to a little update for you. Now, if you were with us last week, you will know that we covered the breaking story of James Dreyfus. There he is on the right, the actor Mr. James Dreyfus, pictured here with Tom Baker in a Big Finish CD, which took ages to release because, of course, they were guilty, of course, of cancelling him, to use the current vernacular. But there's the proof. He actually did work with Tom. Ta-da! Well, anyway, you might remember last week we covered this story where he was actually talking about this particular tweet from a fan. That's all we say here. An alleged fan. Okay, that was all it was. And this was it here. That alleged fan said, "I'm sorry, but whose idea was it to cast insane anti-trans actor James Dreyfus in House of the Dragon when you have a non-binary leading actor? That should be a basic duty of care thing. You don't cast someone in a show who wishes harm on other cast members." Absolute nonsense, of course. And we had a really good discussion about it last week, didn't we, guys? With this particular. This is what we reported James Dreyfus got back with. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. You've got until Monday to delete your defamatory tweet, midday, sorry, and to delete your defamatory tweet, which also encourages others to discriminate. It's as simple as that. Check your email, blah, blah, blah. I'm not bucking about with you lot anymore. Well, you remember that live on the show, I confirmed that just before the show, the tweet was still up. And apparently the letters have gone out to alleged fan from solicitors. And very recently, to give you a bit of an update, Mr. Dreyfus did this. He put out one of these little poll things you get on X. In the unfortunately likely event I have to crowdfund for legal costs for those responsible for repeated defamation and lies at some point this year, could I do a tester and see whether you'd be prepared to help? Yep, get the bugger. Or nah, let it lie. So this was over the weekend. It's not updated, but this was over the weekend. And at that point, 90% said, yep, get the bugger. And 10% said, nah, let it lie. So 90%. And then the interesting thing was he got particular support from a particular person. And it's one person you can't argue with, really, even though they try. And you can't shut her down. J.K. Rowling came back and said, absolutely. So, in the words of a great detective, the game is afoot. Wow, this is big news for this particular alleged fan, isn't it? Really, really is big, you know. And he's denying, apparently, allegedly, that he's being sued. Not according to Mr. Dreyfus.
I'll be interested to see how this pans out and what actually comes out in the wash. And if he does get sued, well, serves him right, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just point out something very, 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 very quickly from the chat here? And I want to take this on from you, Pooh's Lost Eyes. The only reason I can't stand by Rowling is that her anti-trans rhetoric is just an extension of her radical feminism. She hates trans women because she hates men. Not true. Not true. You show me, or any of that cult should show me where she said that anything that was anti-trans. She never did. It was the cult. It was the propaganda from that side that said she did. And then they piled her with all the usual ots and phobe and ist that we all got as Doctor Who fans for not wanting a female incarnation. And that we're still getting today by people associated with the show. It's not true. And Cute Pyro Zero is backing me up here. It's not true. She never said that. She has always been in favor of LGB, and she's always been in favor of T, right? And she's always supported but she's very good. She makes a distinction between LGB and the T, because we shouldn't be the same. LGB, as I've said many times on the show, is all about same-sex issues. The T is about gender. That's it. It's not about same-sex issues. It's about gender. So that, Who's Lost Eyes, I'm going to say, is absolutely not right. She never said that. That's what the cultist said, she said, and it's a lie. And when you think about it, she's actually got a point. And all she's doing is she's fighting, as many people with common sense are, to say men should not be in women's spaces. And whether you believe it or not, a TW is a man. It's a biological man. And when it comes to this self-ID lock that's about to be inflicted on the United Kingdom in the next few painful months, any man can say any day he wants, I'm now a woman and have access to female-only spaces, and vice versa. That's the whole point of this argument. And because we were told in the UK by Stonewall, there is no debate. If you don't agree with us, you're a phobe or an is or a not. That's where it's all come from. And she didn't agree. And I stand with her and with Jimmy Dreyfus as well, because I don't believe that. There has to be grown-up discussions about this, not just in force, not just in compelled speech. There has to be grown-up conversations. Anyway, so that's there.
If she hated men, she wouldn't want to help James Dreyfus, would she?
No.
She'd leave him to stew.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole point about what this alleged fan has said to James is ridiculous. I've just shown that tweet from the alleged fan there. It's complete and utter nonsense. And this is the problem with many of these virtue signalers, isn't it? You know, the fact is they're so busy bending the knee and showing how lovely and what tolerance they have and that they want to be inclusive and diverse and all this stuff. They're forgetting that the reality of life is so important. And we're now beginning to be dragged more and more into dictated fantasy. I don't know what you two think about
that. It doesn't bode well at the minute, does it?
No.
It's quite worrying time. It's bizarre when you think that you could be censured legally for stating fact and truth. It's slid a long way, and now we've got a government that seems intent on introducing compelled speech and everything else. It just seems very dark ahead at the minute. And I think ultimately it'll fail. And I think ultimately it'll probably be one of the things that destroys this government.
Oh, totally.
And that's fine. So, yeah. If they try and bring stuff like this through, then they deserve what they get. You know, but it's until that happens, it's not good. It's not good.
I think it'll have the same effect that on our current government as I had on the SNP, I think, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was part of what brought two Scottish First Ministers down, wasn't it? This whole self-ID stuff. And when it comes to it, that's what it's about, this whole self-ID stuff. Thank you very much for everybody that's in your chat here. I just want to point out at this point that if you want to know any more about this, then you can go and have a look at our special edition headlines, where I interview and chat with Gareth Roberts, who's just written a book about the rising new homophobia, of which a lot of the TQ messaging, propaganda, dictates, call it what you will, it's homophobic and it's misogynistic, and it's bizarre because they can't see it. So there's that's up on our playlist now, on the headlines playlist. Go and have a look at that if you want to know a little bit more and get Gareth's perspective on that, and then go and have a look at his book. Another book that's available is one that Sir Clive Calculator is saying. I just purchased Graham Linehan's book. It's well worth buying. It's a fantastic read. It's really great because he goes through all his career, the Father Ted days, the success of that. Then he goes further, and then, of course, everybody turns his back on him because he just says, no, a woman is a woman. And the show business turns its back on him. And it's actually painful reading from that moment on, as he loses colleague after colleague and friend after friend. It's awful. Problem Being, hello, nice to see you. Thank you to Kirsty, to Garbage, and Problem Being for in the chat, making sure everybody is fine in there. Thank you very much. I'm willing to give a witness statement to his history of defamation, and I'm sure there are many more willing to do so too. Yes, because this alleged Doctor Who fan's been around for a while, hasn't he? And he's been making a complete And then he said so much. Yeah, he's been making a complete fool of himself for quite some time, hasn't he, really?
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly, yeah. Hello, B-Man. Nice to see you, sir. How are you? And Paul Rose is saying to us here, that's the trouble with these people. They can destroy people's livelihoods and never get any blowback. Hopefully, the tide is starting to turn now. As Ian and Paul have just said there, though, it's going to get worse before it gets better, because we've just got a government coming in that believes in ideology and believes in the dictators given to them through their training allegedly by Stonewall. And also, they've just appointed a women's minister that couldn't say, when asked, what is a woman? She couldn't say what a woman was. Oh, I miss Kevi Badenoch already, David Tennant's favourite person, I can tell you. Cute Pyro Zero is saying to us here, JK does support trans, however, she will not allow the trans to put women and girls in harm's way, sports, etc., etc. That's exactly the point I was trying to make, Cute Pyro. Thank you very much. Yeah, a TW is a man, shouldn't be in women's sports at all. You know, that's what we're talking about. That's the whole thing. They shouldn't be there because they've got an awful lot of advantages over women because they were men. Who's Lost Eyes is saying to us, okay, that was a slip of the tongue. I agree with what she's saying. Just anti-trans cuts to the chase a bit more, but she's not. And that's the whole point of this. She's not at all. Ian, have you got your fan on?
No, it's somebody else that's mowing the grass.
Is that
believe it or not? Yeah, there's somebody else out with a... And it's so damn hot at the minute, I can't really shut my door. It's really annoying.
Oi! Stop
I could
cutting
put
your
my
grass.
fan on, but you'll notice my fan's not on.
You should be touching your grass, not cutting it. Didn't you get the message? Shut up.
It was somebody over there last time. Now it's somebody over here. Sorry.
SG is with us as well. I agree as a gay man myself. I believe the T should be separate from LGB. Well, you're very welcome on this show. Problem being is so well said. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all that as well. But I looked at this as well. I did a little bit more on this and just thought we're going to keep an eye on this one. We are going to keep an eye on this because this is getting serious for this alleged Doctor Who fan now, isn't it? It really, really is. So I haven't seen anything today about that, so we'll keep an eye on it, and we will be updating you here on Who's Views on Headlines. So hopefully we'll get some more news about that. James Dreyfus would make a good doctor, says John. He wouldn't come anywhere near it now.
No.
The way he's been it's not just by the fans, but as I mentioned a particular audio production company before as well, the way they treated him as well. You know, and it's such a shame. He wouldn't go anywhere near it. He's done with it.
He played the master for Big Finish, and actually wasn't too bad at all. So he's a good actor.
Yeah, you'll know them, won't you? You'll know the ones he's doing. And you've told me he was a good master.
He was, yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Michael is sorry?
Shame, isn't it? Talented people not allowed to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because people are offended by something they say, which is actually based in truth.
And completely taken out of context as well. That all seems to be the case. So.
Exactly. Can't wait for the new Harry Potter TV show. It's a Cute Pyro. Neither can Kirsty and I. We are very excited about that, and I can guarantee you we're going to be covering it on the show in some format. So we're definitely going to be doing reviews on the episodes when they eventually arrive. But when is it coming?
Well,
they've started. They've appointed a showrunner and a producer and a sort of overall writer now, so it can't be too far off. So as soon as we know the casting, we know they're there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Is it a redo of the books, or is it entirely new?
No. It's basically from the Philosopher's Stone onwards to the Deathly Hallows. It's a 10-year plan, Ian, and it's at least 20 to 24. Was it cursed? Episodes for each one, so they can actually really get into the books, because the films edited a lot of the books out for time reasons. This one's going to put characters back in, it's going to put certain situations back in, so it's going to be a longer run. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be massive.
Sounds it.
And I'm excited on it. Right, so we're talking about that. So thank you very much for all that. Michael is saying to us here, very interesting, welcome to the madness of Keir Starmer. Yes, so for those of you who might not have heard and are outside the UK, we do have a new government who were voted in last week. Hello to Denny Ringas. I've just seen you. Hello, mate. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. They were voted in last week. So we've got a new government in, therefore a new prime minister. And it's all going to be bizarre now as they get their feet under the table and start implementing stuff. So let's see where we're going with that one. But of course, various people were celebrating the fact that their favoured party got in. And as you can imagine, show business itself was a riot on Friday. They were loving it. And I'm not just talking about the tenants pouncing about London, pointing at Big Ben and going, and all this nonsense. You know, I'm not interested in all that. But did you see this? Now, bear in mind, this is one of the executive producers of Doctor Who and part owner of Bad Wolf. Jane Tranter said, "Well done, Kia. Trans rights now, please." Right. So this was Friday. I haven't looked at it since. I get this a lot, actually, all the time. Trans rights, right? Okay. So, and I've now started asking the question to everybody, including to Jane Tranter here. What rights in the UK do the transgender people not actually have?
That's a very good question.
You'll never get an answer.
No, you won't get an answer because, of course, they have the same rights as everybody else because we're a democracy. That's the beauty of democracy, all you idiots that are trying to dismantle it. We all have the same rights. And transgender people benefit from all the actual activism that LGB did over the last few decades. On this particular occasion, though, guys, I did get an answer. And I just thought, Robin Bean, you're going to love this. You're going to love this one. The answer that came back was from somebody that retweeted this. Oh, God, look at this. Awkwardly explaining to cis friends, that Labour said they want to ban me from hospital wards and toilets and require a doctor's permission before I can marry the same way they can. That's apparently an answer to my question. What rights do transgenders not have right now? Awkwardly explaining to cis, i.e. that stands for comfortable in skin, friends, that Labour said they want to ban me from hospital wards and toilets and require a doctor's permission before I can marry the same way they can. I'm still going to ask the question as I did in response to this. Right. So taking away the fantastical lies and the ideology, what rights do transgenders not have in the UK? Because that's not a right. You know,
it's interesting how they twist things because contemplating your own skin, cis friend, whatever, it's quite insulting.
That's awful saying.
Yeah.
So. But you know, nobody is banning anybody from hospital wards or toilets. You can still go to your appropriate gender. So again, what they're trying to do here from that tweet is they're trying to say to us, right, a TM is saying I am a man, a TW is saying I am a woman. We must obey that. But you've got, when you're dealing with the health service especially, no, you can't just ideologically and touchy-feelingly ignore the truth, because a TW can still catch testicular cancer. You know, that's the thing. Yeah, and that's the fact here. These are the things that have to be discussed. But I just thought that tweet there was utter ridiculous. Look at that. Required doctor's permission before I can marry the same way they can. I'm sorry, it just Advan Dragon is saying, look, spin. Yeah. And Problem Being is saying, men do not have the right to enter women's spaces, end of. It's just, it's all a complete mess. And of course, we're not dealing with it very well here in this country. And because it continues to come over all the way from America, sorry to all our American friends as ever, but it comes from you and then it comes over here. It's very frustrating. We've got Time Lord Victorious. What are you saying to us here? They think they are part of the new gay rights movement. They don't understand they are supporting an anti-gay, anti-women's rights movement. And finally, anti-reality worldview. So that's all the supporters of this thing as well. You're absolutely right. We had Catherine Tate at the weekend, didn't we, with David Tennant at a convention in the States, I think it was, at the weekend, gushing off about how wonderful it was to have a trans daughter in the show and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It's the narrative of these very, very poorly informed people who have just bent the knee, virtue signaling to make themselves look good and jump on the bandwagon. We get it so many times, don't we?
Yeah.
Talents of Wayne Chiang is saying to us here, they want the right to break all the women's sporting records.
Yeah.
And Legion of James is saying it's all about elevating themselves above the rights of others. And here's Richard saying to us here, trans people can marry freely. No one needs a doctor's permission to marry. Of course you don't. This is Britain, for heaven's sake. We're not some third-rate, stupid country. Where have they got that from? You know, they just seem to be making up all these things to try and, I don't know, disprove them or something. It's absolute nonsense. Yeah. Are you guys...
I think they say if they shout loud enough, people will believe it. So people will believe that they don't have equal rights, even though they do, just because they're shouting about it. And if you stopped and asked 10 of them, what rights do you want that you don't have? 9 of them couldn't tell you, and the other one would call you a bigot, or the other way around.
That's the problem. That's the problem, isn't it? Because it's all the name calling. But the problem is now, that's disempowered. They've disempowered those name callings because we've all been called it, and we're all totally used to it, and we've just gone, oh, whatever.
Well, they've shouted enough now. We're all fed up with it. That's the problem. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But the insults don't sting anymore. You know, you see lots of people now say, and I'm the same. I'm unashamedly far right because I believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So clearly I am far right. So yeah, fair enough. Whatever. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm far right. You can call me rhymes with Yahtzee. You know, I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Say what you like.
It's too much. It's emotional blackmail, and it's gotten absolutely ridiculous, and it's got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're actually harming the alleged activists that are trying to fight for all this stuff, harming it. But it doesn't help that you've got people from show business jumping on these bandwagons now. It just shows how stupid they are. So why you would want to pay £125 or more for an autograph from them, or £20 to talk to them, don't bother. So, you know, go and spend it on food or something better, you know?
Well, £20 to talk to them is probably like, you're lucky if you get 2 minutes to talk to them, I'd imagine. But
it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Does that mean if they pay more for just a photograph, they're not going to talk to them?
Probably.
Yeah, can't speak to you, of course, on the 20 quid. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Secret Spy is joining us. Hello, Secret Spy. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I think these people are talking generally when you guys are talking about specific issues, which most people would probably agree with, i.e. TM being in women bathrooms. I don't know what they're talking about because they're making up so many issues now just to try and solve them. And it's all based on some sort of bizarre nonsense. I don't know where it's coming from.
They don't like it if the same is done back, though, do they? I mean, are you familiar with the story from, I think it was last year, with the weightlifter, the powerlifter?
Yes. Shocking. Explain it.
You know, this guy built like a brick privy, right? He was managing a team of female weightlifters, and they were really, really good. But there was a trans woman on the opposite side, and they just beat the best woman's score by something like 100 kilos or something like that. So he went in and said, I'm a woman. That's all he had to do. Said, I'm a woman. And he smashed this trans man's record by a further 150 kilos or something like that. Yeah. Absolutely blew it out the water. So he won, and he did it just purely for badness because the other bloke had done it to his girls. So he did it to sort of like point out the ludicrousness of the situation. And then this trans woman was interviewed saying how it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
It was great. He just
pity me, woe is me.
Yeah. But he didn't like it because he wasn't the winner. It was fantastic. It was really good.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem, isn't it? I mean, that's a great example there because this is the guy then pleading, as I say there, oh, look, oh, pity me, I've been treated badly. Oh, it's terrible, it's terrible. So then they all come out and say, oh, TE rights now, retake now. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? You can't do that. You know, it's just no. This to keep it factual. Everybody, that's the important thing about this, isn't it? You've got to keep it factual.
I mean, that's why in sport we have separate male and female competitions. That's how it works, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you don't need it. Sorry, JT. You don't need it in stuff. I don't think you need separate gender competitions for things like chess, for example.
No,
you know, chess competitions, you don't need it because you're using your brain. And I don't think there's a biological difference for mental capacity and things like that. I genuinely don't. But for anything that requires any kind of like physicality or stamina or anything else, then yeah, it should be entirely separate for obvious reasons. But you know,
it's common sense. But we're now
Yeah.
unfortunately going to be dealing with a government who possibly doesn't see that because they believe in the ideology. And it's got to a point now where the fiction and the fantasy is overruling truth. And that's frightening. We cannot live in a world like that. It has happened in other countries. I'm going to mention Canada as the biggest one that I'm aware of, where it seems to be an absolute mess. If you're in Canada, who have we got in Canada? Lisa's in Canada, isn't she? I mean, these sorts of things happen. You know, you've got all this stuff, and they're trying to make it the norm, if you like. And it's not. We've got to have these discussions about, because there's so few. And yet it's dominating our lives every day. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we've got more when it comes to getting to young people and being told lies. There are more than two genders. There are an infinite number of genders. You might be in the wrong body. That's got to stop. That has to stop. And unfortunately, I don't think we've got a government that's going to bother with that. Huge thank you to Sir Clive Calculator for your super chat. Really appreciate that. Cambridge Analytica is a company who can manipulate the way people think, allegedly. They know if a couple will divorce based on their online data. I think the woke have been washed in this way. Certainly show businesses have, because it's fickle. It's absolutely fickle. Yeah. And I also believe as well, Sir Clive Calculator, that, you know, for years and years and years, a lot of people were coming off the back of the fact that LGBT people were treated badly. They absolutely were. You know, you didn't have rights at all. We had to fight for our rights, and we got them. We absolutely got them. And I think certain age groups, anyone from around about 30 upwards, will remember that and be ashamed of that. So therefore, they're not going to be seen to be supporting something that could possibly be doing that again. Unfortunately, the majority of them haven't done their homework, and they're not prepared to, because they've jumped on a bandwagon. And when some of their very powerful friends jump on this before them and tell them stuff, they're going to believe them, aren't they? And then the rest of us can go to HELL. SG is saying to us here, honey, you couldn't pay me enough to listen to a talk from Gatwa. No. And Paul Ashworth is saying I got more abuse on Facebook for calling Doctor Who woke.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, we all do. And yet they've got no grounds there. They are, you know, it is. And it's failed. The results are there. Show them one of our shows. Not that they'll watch it. I mean, look at what the ratings like. That's the proof. It's a failure.
You get the defense, so they always say Doctor Who has always been woke, which I think is nonsense. But yeah,
it wasn't though, was it? I mean, we didn't have woke in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We had just getting on with your blooming life. Yeah, you know, and some of us had to fight for our rights in the 80s and 90s as well. Richard Hussey is saying, are these people trying to push women's rights back 50 years or more to before Germaine Greer's days? Yes, quite frankly, yeah, because they're insisting that men are now women as well. And we've now got a government in that believes that women can have a penis. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense, isn't it? It's ridiculous. And not just that, Richard, but they're also pushing back LGBT achievements, because they're now shoehorning in T people where there were none in our history. And I have that, and I'm sure Lee and I'm sure SG have this argument all the time on social media. It was nothing to do with them. You know, there were no trans people on all the marches I went on. It was just mainly gay men and gay women. You know, that's it. There was nobody else there. The odd drag queen, but that's not the same thing. Oh, it's just a pain in the neck. But that is the update there. And I just wanted to show you as well that particular tweet from from Tranter, from Bad Wolf, because we now know, in a sense, they're not going to double down if there is a series 3. They're not going to go backtrack, rather. They're going to double down on it if there is a series 3, because they can now, because they'll feel empowered, because they've got a government that sides with them in there.
And season 2 will be much of what we had already. It'll be more of the same, I'd imagine. So
Of course, yeah, because that's all been shot and written at the same time. Yeah, you know, so there's going to be a lot more of that nonsense. But I don't know. Thomas is saying to us here, I work at a school and I look in despair at the kids that will leave in July to the world they will work and play in. They haven't a clue, have they? No. Some of these youngsters have not a clue, and they're going to be very, very shocked if they try to get into the workplace. If they try. But there we go. Anyway, so that's all that there for you. Thank you very much, everybody, for oh, what's this from us here? Thank you very much for your chats and for getting involved with that. Paul he loves his super stickers. Thank you very much for your super sticker, Paul. Really appreciate that. That's pretty. They're quite funny, those things. They do all these little graphics and stuff, don't they? So that's lovely. Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it. Ken's UK Adventures with his little wee doggy there. People say Doctor Who has always been woke, but it was not in the past. It clearly had assistants in it to attract the dads. Well, that's true, because they often said that, didn't they?
Louise Jameson for one. Yeah. So
yeah. The actresses themselves, as you say, Paul, they just admitted it. You know, fantastic.
I love the fact Louise Jameson was. She says in many interviews she's very naive about the fact Leela was wearing a sexy outfit and it wasn't for the dads. You know, but there we go. But
yeah. Thank you for that. There. Yeah. So we are where we are with this, aren't we, everybody? But I don't know where we're going to end up, and it just gets getting worse and worse.
You know, we've talked before about possibly at some point somebody getting seriously hurt or harming themselves because of what they've been encouraged to do, and the blowback that will happen from that. I think with a government that we've got coming in or in now, that's clearly going to promote this and empower these loons even more. And by that, I mean the loons encouraging it. I'm not calling anybody that's got genuine gender dysphoria a loon. It's a serious, terrible condition, and they need every piece of support they can get, not a nutcase saying you need to slice bits off. They need help, proper help.
When you're 7, allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah. But a government like this that encourages the lovies and the other fools even more, it's probably more likely that we'll see something like that happening, an absolute tragedy somewhere, probably a lot sooner, I think.
We've seen some of the cases now where these the detransitioners are coming out with their stories and they're heartbreaking. I reckon we're going to get more, and I think we're going to get more and more and more. But it is the case that, you know, when the next government comes in, we've got to be aware that the next government might be very, very hard right because of this. Whatever they do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there could be a penalty for being so far left, and all this lovey-dovey tolerance and inclusion and all those lovely words that they like, the buzzwords at the time. We've got to be careful. Not that they'll care. They won't care, will they? They'll just leave the rest of us to live in the country with it. Yeah. Cute Pyro, £2. Thank you so much for your super chat. Wanted to check, did you receive my email? I did. Now I'm gonna say this again to everybody. I'm terrible with the emails because I just don't get the time to do it. So I'll try and get back to everybody. I haven't had time to look at them today. I did a quick look and I saw it, Cute Prior. I will get back to you. It just takes me ages and I'm really sorry, but there's so much going on. But I will get back to you, and I haven't read it yet. So thank you for that. I will look at it and get back to you. But I really do. If you want to email me, bear that in mind. I will get back to you, but it takes me a while. whosviews1@gmail.com. Kirsty will put the email into the chat for you, but you are very welcome to get in touch. Thank you for this. Paul Rose is saying to us here, that's the big problem. This generation are now completely brainwashed as they grow older. How is the world going to turn out? It's frightening to say the least. Welcome to my world. I think about that an awful lot. I really do. And I think, okay, where are we going? It's going to be Fantasy Island, basically, Paul. And Sheila B, this is terrible. Yeah, this is awful, and I'm so sorry to hear this. Sheila B tells us, I'm not allowed to go to visit my daughter and her partner because I made the mistake of saying she and not they. That's heartbreaking and ridiculous. And if your daughter ever sees this, you should be ashamed of yourself, lady. Get a grip. That's shocking. And this is what people in control of Doctor Who have bought into. I'm so sorry about that, Sheila. We're sending you all our love.
That's awful, Sheila.
That's terrible to have your own child do that to you. Oh, Sheila, we are with you. You're very welcome here anytime you want to, my darling. And to your daughter, I'd like a word, please.
Yeah.
So, God, awful. I hear about these stories an awful lot these days, guys. It's terrible. Really, really is. And Q Pyro, again, thank you for another super chat. Really appreciate it. Did you know that John Pertwee complained about the outfits the companions were wearing? He looked after women. R.I.P. John Pertwee. Yes, well, I had heard something about that before. He wasn't happy at all with a lot of them, was he? Did he, Paul?
Particularly with Liz Shaw. I remember there was a great story about the Silurians that apparently she could go down to the caves in a miniskirt, and then John Pertwee said, no, she can't do that. She used to wear a proper outfit to go caving, which was perfect.
That's right.
Really good.
Yeah, that's the big one there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's all a mess. Thanks again, Cute Pro. It's all a mess. We are where we are with this, but goodness knows where we're going to end up with it. I do worry, to be quite honest about it all, because it's just insane. It's just totally insane, isn't it? Sheila, you're very welcome. Sheila's saying to us here, thanks for your good wishes, folks. Sheila, please come join us whenever we're on live, and get in touch if you want anytime. whosviews1@gmail.com. We're here for you, because that is a terrible story, but you're not alone. You can actually get in touch with parent groups that have been affected by this lunacy. I'm not sure where they are now. I know J.K. Rowling knows where they are. I know she knows, but they have set up parents groups around. You might want to get in touch with the LGB Alliance, Sheila. They might have a local group near to you that have parents who have been affected by this insanity from these young people. So LGB Alliance, look at their website. You can Google it. Go and have a look at that. And they might be able to put you in touch with specialists and other parents that are going through what you're going through as well. Goodness me, heartbreaking, isn't it? Atherstone 55, the next series will drop below the 2 million overnight. I hope so, because I'm going to stick at 1.9 on the ratings game. And I want to win a Who's Views pencil.
Don't we all?
Yeah, we can only dream, Paul, of a Who's Views pencil.
Matthew was saying
to get a T-shirt as well. Well, that's another story.
Yeah, he keeps flaunting them, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah.
I'm not listening to them, everybody. Matthew is saying to us here, this is a cult, it's an evil one. And Lisa, thank you so much for your super chat. I have to go. Love to my friends in the chat. JT, Third Doctor, Ian, and my dad's. See you next stream, darlings. Love you all. Thank you, Lisa. Lovely to see you. Really appreciate that. We'll see you again soon, darling. Have a lovely day. How far are they? Are they in front of us or behind us in Canada?
Yeah. Have a nice day, my darling daughter. Yeah, you are. Yes. Nice to see you again. Yeah.
You're going to get in trouble.
Allegedly, yeah.
Nicola Bryant wasn't for the dad, says Atherstone 55. Oh, come on, you didn't know John, did you? Oh, we can't believe Nicola's got stories about that as well. And Pooh's Lost Eyes, thank you for your super chat. Ironic that RTD, someone who penned a story about the fake news machine in 2005, has fallen for the biggest mass media spin of them all. The mighty Jagrafest would be proud. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a good point, isn't it? That's true, actually. Yeah, but as I've said to you before, Pooh's Lost Eyes, many times, and I will probably not be stopping anytime soon. He's such a hypocrite. 1 minute he's doing that, 1 minute he's doing this, 1 minute he's saying that, 1 minute he's saying that. Nothing matches up anymore. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Nowadays, it's Russell T Davis that's the big fat blob on the ceiling, isn't it? Allegedly.
Ooh,
allegedly, yes. The Jagrafest.
Hashtag scathing. Rick, thank you for your super chat. Smash the like, subscribed. Yes, please, if you haven't already, come and listen to our ranting and our raving and our love for our favorite show on any one of our playlists. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that, Rick. And if Rick also reminded me to say again, if you have subscribed to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel, because we don't know what's going on there, but a lot of you are contacting us to tell us about that. So thank you very much for that. Let's have a look. Yes, a lot of support there in the chat for Sheila as well, quite rightly too. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate. Sheila, you're very welcome, honestly. And do look up the LGB Alliance. I'm sure they might know somebody that can help you. And Cute Pyro again for a super chat. Thank you again. When I asked my doctor that I wanted to have bottom surgery, they stated they wanted me to go under mental health first, and only after then would they consider it. Real doctors don't go straight to medical. Quite correct. And unfortunately, a lot of the stages that you went through, lovely, are going to be scrapped allegedly by this new government we have, and they're going to make it so much easier. And as Ian mentioned there before, sadly, I think there's going to be an awful lot of lawsuits in the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Smiley people are saying it's a lively chat tonight. I wonder why. It's because of these two.
We like a lively chat.
We do.
Like a lively chat. But thank you for all that coming along. I really appreciate it there. And YW is with us. Hello, YW2324, who's got those little things there. What do you call them again? Emojis. Yeah, that'll be there. Right, but that leads us on to our next point. I mean, you've mentioned him already in the chat as well, but it's to do with this fella. Yes, yet again, he's back here on Headlines. Russell T Davis, writer and executive producer at Showrunner of Disney Who, RTD2 Who, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, because he's been talking, and it's this one here. Have you seen this? From radiotimes.com, Russell T. Davies on how Doctor Who can get away with rewriting its own history. With 61 years of stories, the long-running sci-fi show has a habit of changing its history. So let's see what he's got to say about this, and then let us know what Paul and Ian think and what you think in the chat, everybody. Here we go for this one. When a show has as much history and features as the many complicated timey-wimey, I hate that saying, shenanigans as Doctor Who, it's unsurprising that it can sometimes throw up events and new points of canon which seem to contradict its own past. However, speaking at a recent BAFTA event called Russell T. Davies, A Life in Pictures, Doctor Who's current showrunner, Davies, explained how the series gets away with this and why he isn't fazed by any potential contradictions. He said of the show, it's destroyed Atlantis 3 times in its history. And if someone came to me tomorrow with a great story about the destruction of Atlantis, I'd do it again. In the 1960s with William Hartnell, they went to Troy and did the Wooden Horse. That so wouldn't stop me doing Troy and the Wooden Horse again now. I'd do it again. It's not a spoiler. I'm not doing it. But you just put in one line and glitch in time, we're here again. Just last year, Davies' episode The Giggle featured a potential fix-all explanation for any canon discrepancies, with the Toymaker telling the 14th Doctor that he had made a jigsaw out of his history. Meanwhile, the 6th episode of this year's season 14, Rogue, appeared to canonize the Shalka Doctor, played by Richard E. Grant in the animated web series Scream of the Shalka, who had previously been considered another take on the 9th Doctor and therefore not canon. At the BAFTA event, Davies also spoke about that episode and explained how the concept of a Regency-era romance was pitched by writers Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. So apparently they pitched this nonsense. They came in saying they wanted to do a romance for the Doctor, he explained. I was looking at the series as a whole, saying I need an episode that's fun because it had got a bit dark and it's about to get dark, really. So I needed a fun one. That fits with romance. And then they said, we just want the episode to be one great big long party. We spent ages. We looked at the 1940s and the 1920s. It could have been set in the court of King Henry VIII having a ball. And then eventually someone, I can't remember who, said, let's do Bridgerton. And then we get to do the Doctor Who Bridgerton episode. And by God, we were all pleased about that, weren't we?
Oh, we were. I can't wait for the appearance of Trevor Martin and Peter Cushing coming in at some point. That'll be fun. Yeah.
It's going to happen at some particular point, isn't it, Who Views? You know, but here he is saying, oh, because I get it to have said the Atlantis one is a good way of looking at this because, yeah, it was always story, wasn't it, in the old days? It was always about story first, and they weren't that big on the continuity because Doctor Who wasn't like that back then. But we're now looking at an epic story.
But they didn't do it deliberately to confuse things, did they? It was all done by accident because they hadn't have a Bible, the different production teams, all that kind of stuff. They didn't do it just to annoy fans, did they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing.
They never thought either that people, well, they didn't think it'd still be going in the 1970s, but they didn't think that people watching it in the early to mid 1970s would then be going back and seeing or reading about stories that were happening in the mid 1960s and comparing the two. It just wasn't a thing, was it?
Whereas, yeah, I'm sure my parents weren't watching the Demons and saying they did that in Underwater Menace, didn't they? Back in season 4. No, they didn't do that.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, what they did with Rogue, we want a romance, and because that's the only thing they can write about, because they did the same thing in Loki. He had the opportunity there to turn around and say, no, I don't want the Doctor to be that emotional, or I certainly don't want him to be same-sex attracted in the name of him being an alien. It just doesn't make sense at all. And he didn't, did he? He just didn't say, no, we've got to tie this in. This isn't what Doctor Who's about. He went, oh, fabulous, wonderful, marvelous. Let's do it. Oh, it's wonderful, it's marvelous. Oh, please. He exhausts me, that man. He really does. Pooh's Lost Eyes is saying to us here, it's kind of sad. As a young gay guy, I always appreciated the little nods to LGBT people in RTD's original run. It was tasteful and not too in your face. Now it's just a farce. Yeah, I know what you mean about that. I mean, I don't think anything like that should ever be in Doctor Who, though, to be honest. I mean, sexuality was it was very rarely in the original run. Joe being the main one, I would think, as well. You know, that whole romance. It's got the Leela. That was tacked in at the end.
Yeah. But surely doesn't sexuality doesn't define a person, does it?
No, of course not.
So it's not. There's more to people than that. It's not that shallow, is it? Really.
But these people don't understand that, Paul. These people it's all about a representation. It's all about what the label they're carrying. That's what it's about here. It's all about that, and they can't write for toffee. It's shocking. We do have another story that's come off the back of that. Smiley people here, look at this. If there's going to mess with timey-wimey thingy, can we have Hilda Ogden as a companion? Do you know there was a time, smiley people, when a Hilda Ogden type character as a companion to the Doctor would have worked?
Yeah.
Well, we got Evelyn Smythe from Big Finish, an older lady.
Very good,
a great character, played by Maggie Stables, and worked brilliantly with the Sixth Doctor. That'd be fabulous. Something like that. Something that's not a glamour puss type person. Somebody who's kind of a bit more down to earth.
Well, in the reboot, they sort of did it with Donna.
Yeah.
And then there was that one-off companion. There was the one-off companion, Ian, with Matt Smith, played by Mira Sayal. Cracking character she was. She would have been an excellent companion.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen her.
Tom Baker was pushing at one point, wasn't he, for a talking cabbage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Little did we know in 2024 we'd get it as the Doctor instead.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, in the Christmas Carol, the Muppet Christmas Carol, they got talking vegetables. They perfect,
do. They really do. They really do. Paul Rose is saying to us here, there's no more canon anymore after everything that's now been done. It will hurt your head trying to keep it straight. Yeah. Yes, because at some point they're going to have to acknowledge, they've already sort of done it with the audio things that come up, but they've also, to an extent, they've included aspects of various BBC and New Version novels. There's been things noticed like the Chelonians and stuff like that, but I reckon that's all going to come along as well. To see all these on-screen adventures. Oh, actually, they're all canon. It's a way of actually trying to say to you, you must now go and buy them all. Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? You must now go and
buy this instead. It's more interesting. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, BF have been publishing that now for years, for 10 years. We were mentioned in a webisode or whatever they call it, and then suddenly people have gone, oh God, now I'm going to have to go and get it because it's canon, because that's what you play on with phones. Yeah. It's not fair. It's ridiculous.
The fact we're all OCD. That's
a long time ago to cut the cord from a lot of merchandise. Has anyone questioned the BBC over impartiality, altering a show to alienate fans, surely against the charter? Yes, actually, Ken's UK Adventures, we have. Here on Who's Views, we've had that conversation with the BBC over a number of issues, this being one of the points that we raised to them, and this was at the beginning of the year. And the answer was that Doctor Who is no longer a BBC programme. It's a BBC Studios programme. It's independent. So therefore, it's not covered by the terms and conditions of the charter or the licence fee, because the BBC Studios is a private business.
But it's also business madness to cut your fans out who buy everything and support the show.
Well, don't forget they were expecting a new audience and have been expecting it now for several years.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It shows you how thick they are if the penny hasn't dropped yet, doesn't it? Really?
Oh, totally. Because they're all on the mission. It's all the tunnel vision. You will think like us. That's all it's about. Sheila is saying to us, RTD writes his stuff in advance and just churns it out. It's not quality. I saw that in a documentary about him on iPlayer. Well, good for you for watching that and sitting through it. Goodness me, I just couldn't be bothered. Trouble's here with us as well in the chat. Hi, Phil.
Yeah.
He had a lovely time last night, I think, as well, on our review of Death to the Daleks.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, nice to see you, Phil. And problem being is saying to us here, RTD allowed allegedly two women to use two men kissing for their own titillation to go on screen. He didn't even have the balls to write that kiss himself. He gave that to two fanfic women to fetishise it. Yeah. Fair enough. It's an opinion, isn't it? But it's one that you can't. It's hard to argue with.
It's hard to argue with. Yeah.
It's difficult to pick that apart. It's pretty much as it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see Austin with us in the chat as well. Nice to see you, mate. Thank you. Paul is saying to us here, the Doctor should be above homosexuality. RTD clearly doesn't give a damn. He doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
Not at all. And problem being is saying to me, JT, do you remember the type of women that used to buzz around gay men in the gay clubs back in the day? I certainly do. They were sometimes a real pain in the neck. All they wanted to do was grope you and touch you, which was just unwanted. And that's when I suddenly realized what women have been going through for decades. Because here it was on the other side. You know, this is really uncomfortable, and you put me in a really uncomfortable situation because I'm going to have to deck you, you know, in which you don't do, you know. But it was horrible, wasn't it, PB? They always got off on men kissing. Now those types write for Doctor Who. I think they do, and support it as well, actually, now, because all those little girls that were coming out after the kiss, oh, it's wonderful, missing the point of the series completely. What else we got there? What else we got? Thank you for that one. Yeah, so that was Mike Disney. Look, if Hilda was a companion, think how clean and tidy the TARDIS would be.
Imagine the ducks on the wall, the TARDIS as well, the flying ducks. I can see that. Yeah,
you'd have to have it, wouldn't you? But you could have. I mean, we did actually have a sort
of
Hilda
as well, obviously. Yeah,
we did have a sort of Hilda Ogden type character in the Starbeast comic strip.
Yes, Sharon's mum. Or Fudgy's mum. I can't remember which one.
Fudgy's mum,
Mrs. Higgins.
Yeah, Mrs. Higgins. And I was really looking forward to getting her in the Starbeast on television, but of course he rewrote it all to be about Donna's family, who are very much more, shall we say, upper middle class, probably North London champagne guzzling types, allegedly. But that was so. Anyways, where were we on that particular story? Talking of the scream of the Shalka, that whole thing that Russell said there sort of opened it. And the Richard E. Grant Doctor was in there. You'll remember that from that awful episode. But this Doctor Who boss opens up about that surprising Richard E. Grant cameo that made an obscure Doctor, obscure is a very polite word, canon. Russell T. Davies reveals how that wonderful appearance in Rogue came together. This is from Games Radar. Now, we've reported on Games Radar before here, haven't we? And they obviously love all this new stuff that's coming out. They absolutely love it. So anyway, but if you don't know what the Scream of the Shalka is, let's pop back into the TARDIS, shall we? Right back to this. Now, this unfortunately came along at the wrong time in the show's history. This was still what we thought was the wilderness years.
Yeah.
As soon as this was announced, a couple of weeks later in 2004, the BBC announced that the show was coming back to television. So this sort of put the dampener on this, didn't it, straight away? But this, of course, was Richard E. Grant in a audio cartoony version of the Doctor, playing Doctor Number 9. There he is here. This is how we first see him when he steps from the TARDIS. In a script by not one of my favourite authors, let's put it like that, because he's part of this whole thing.
Paul Cornell,
Thanks for mentioning him. I wasn't going to bother.
Okay, sorry.
Let's not give him any kudos or any publicity. Okay. But let's get into
rewind that then and just cut that over. Sorry.
Let's get into the article.
Cut that out in post-production.
We can do that. Yeah.
Let's get into the article from Games Radar. Here it is. Here, when Doctor Who viewers tuned into episode 6 of Rouge, they were greeted with a wonderful surprise. And no, we aren't talking about Jonathan Groff's charming bounty hunter. Instead, we are referring to an obscure cameo. As the Doctor discussed his long history, images of his past faces popped up, including all 15 canon Doctors, in addition to Joe Martin's Fugitive Doctor and John Hurt's War Doctor. Hidden amongst those, though, were the face of Richard E. Grant, who voiced the Doctor, known as the Shalka Doctor, in a 2003 animated web series titled The Scream of the Shalka. It certainly shocked fans, as this adventure had previously not been considered canon, but for showrunner Russell T. Davies, the appearance meant something more. Interesting. Although Davies says the door is open now, he won't be pushed on what exactly the appearance from Grant's Doctor means for the show. Instead, he suggests the opposite, emphasizing that it doesn't presage anything, nor does it mean the Shalka Doctor would return. In fact, Davies highlights that it was a bit of fun, adding, "We talked about that many times with Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. Just fun, a joke. It's funny. It's that simple." Anyone in the chat get it? No. I sat here in this office with them and they just thought an unknown Doctor. That's what the script said, because we had to work out who to get and how we would get him. Now, I hope you're paying attention to this in the chat, everybody, because here they really are taking the pee, aren't we? Let's throw in another face and really pee off the fandom and muck them all up. That's what I get from this. Let's continue. Thankfully, Grant was more than up for it, attending a photo shoot where they could take new images of him for the cameo. Davies says that the actor was very excited to take part, despite it being a last-minute call. He wasn't paid the fee he would have been paid to be a doctor, obviously. He was so up for it and went and did that, especially for us, very last minute, because we weren't sure whether to do it or not, partly because we were busy, And there were a lot of extra paperwork just to do that. But as we watched that parade of doctors, we just sat and went, we've got to put an extra one in. We've got to. That's the fun of it. Yeah. See, look, it's all about them, isn't it? So what they've effectively done is they've canonized this particular version here. Now, this again shows the hypocrisy of Russell T. Davies, because when it was announced that he was going to be bringing the show back for 2005, which was in 2003, believe it or not, we knew it was all coming back then. Somebody had asked him about this particular webcast, as it was then, this particular story, and he'd said, no, it's not canon. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. And Richard E. Grant's performance was questionable. He didn't like the Richard E. Grant question. He didn't like it. And now, because, as they say there, we've got to put an extra one in. We've got to. That's the fun of it. It's the fun of it. It's the fun of it. Just because it's fun, let's wind up the fans I'm getting from that. Are you two getting that? Are you in the chat getting that? Or is it just me?
No, it's just winding fans up. I mean, justice for Michael Jaston, for God's sake. Give him a cameo. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, why didn't we do that? Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't throw in the doctors or the alleged doctors, because I think there were Morbius from Brain of Morbius in the psychic wrestling thing. You know, all the different.
Well, they've kind of done that already, have they, in the Timeless Children, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. Forgotten that travesty.
Well, this is the other thing, talking about that. This is where Russell T. Davies says that because of his friend Chibnall's Timeless Children story arc, it means they can really now play with unknown faces of the Doctor.
But what's the point? What's the point?
No idea. It just, for me, that makes the character smaller rather than larger. Yeah. I preferred it when we had 7. To be quite honest, because now we've got millions of the buggers and we don't know them. We don't know the Shalka Doctor. Yeah. You know, we don't know him. I remember saying when I first saw it, I don't really want to know him because I didn't take to him. I thought he was just I thought it was written incorrectly. Just a bit sort of Dracula-ish.
Will we get the Curse of Fatal Death Doctors then?
Probably at some point, because it's winding us up. Yeah. We will get all that sort of stuff there. But Paul, you're right. I mean, that's a great point you've made there. If they wanted another face, why not Michael Jaston? Why not just one that's actually in the canon, and that none of them, maybe it wasn't diverse enough. I don't know. But
I'm surprised though they don't start putting Richard Hundle in and then David Bradley and things like that. It's like getting really silly now. It's like,
well, the Series 2 hasn't happened yet. Martin, the definite article, is saying RTD is making it clear he can and will rewrite Doctor Who history. He did it to Davros and to Sutek. He will keep doing it until it's all recognizable. I still absolutely am convinced, everybody, that he's doing this to annoy us. I think he's deliberately doing it because we didn't go with the Timeless Child thing. We didn't go with the Whittaker casting. And now they're being punished quite rightly because your ratings, sir, are in the toilet and being flushed down the pan, and it's not going to get better for you all. It's absolutely ridiculous, and you don't deserve success at this particular point because you've annoyed us all. Why did you do that? Why? Because it's fun. What? It's fun for them because they're sitting there going, "Ho ho ho! The fans aren't going to like the gay kiss. Oh ho ho! The fans aren't going to like this extra face we're putting in. Oh, but we want to do it because it's fun. Oh, we're having a lovely time."
Utterly pointless.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Controversy. And the thing is, if he wrote some really good storylines and they were properly script edited and they were properly produced and it really, really did respect the source material, people would talk about it so much more than this rubbish. But he's putting it in purely for spectacle because he can't do any of that decent stuff anymore. He just can't do it. If in fact it's questionable, could he ever really do it at all? Because we know full well the best scripts in New Who weren't written. None of them were written by Russell T. Davies. None of them.
No.
You know, you'd be looking at Gareth Roberts, you'd be looking at Rob Shearman, and he only did one. You know, but kicked everything that Davies did out of the park.
Yeah. Well, totally. Yeah. But it's just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? The whole thing. It's just about, hang on a second. We're going to do it because we can. And this is alien to Doctor Who, this whole thing. You know, Chibnall started it. Russell T Davies is continuing it. He's going to continue doing it because I think they really get some sort of kick out of the fact that they're annoying us all.
Yeah.
I think it's sad. I think it's absolutely sad that they're doing all this, you know? Thank you all, as ever, for all your chats. There's an awful lot here. Paul is saying, just Paul Rose, I like Grant and have Shalka on DVD, but I've only watched it once. I remember it being a bit dull, to be honest. I've watched it once, and that was at Panopticon in 2003. And I have to tell you, the response from the thousands of Doctor Who fans were there for that big year was lackluster.
Yeah.
It really, really was.
There were plans to do more of them, wasn't there? And if I got a chance to develop, it might have got better, but it was a bit lackluster, I have to say. But
well, yeah, I mean, that was the pilot series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The pilot episodes. Yeah. But Russell T Davies closed it down.
Yeah.
He closed it down. And again, hypocrisy. Matt is saying he looks like Dracula.
He does, yeah.
That's what I got through it as well. But also the performance. I know it was just voice, but I expected more from Richard E. Grant, and it wasn't there.
When he did the one in Comic Relief, and he was the Lick the Mirror handsome Doctor, he's much more energetic in that. That was much more funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
So basically, he's done a David Tennant as well now, according to Russell T Davies. There's two versions with the same face.
Yeah,
it's getting confusing, everyone, isn't it? It's just silly now. It's just.
I'm sorry, though, you can't count Curse of Fatal Death canon if you can't count Dimension and Time canon. So that's either or, surely.
But according to him, all of it can now be.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you don't have the name. I mean, this is the thing that's been happening with the Toy Maker, which actually that thread, they should have made more out of that rather than just a throwaway line and Tennant looking. You know, that's a story in itself. I have been changing your timelines. That's a story. That is a season of stories. But no,
I'd like to give RTD the benefit of the doubt and say he'll explain that later, but he won't. So,
well, he won't, will he? No, because but that is a story. You know, he should have followed that up to show people, look, this is not necessarily the Doctor you've been following for 60 years. That's the whole bi-generation thing. This has come about because the Toy Maker's been tampering with the Doctor's lives. So all these other alternatives are spin-offs and can be out there. I mean, we're science fiction fans, Russell. We can deal with the fact, if we choose to, that there might be parallel universes out there with different versions of the Time Lords and therefore a different Doctor in each of them. We can deal with that. But you have to explain it if that's the way you want to go. You can't just say, see that Doctor you had for all those years, you had 7, then an 8th came along, and then you had a 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. That's where I'm going to stop. Now there's a 13th, a 14th, a 15th, a 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 2001, 2002.
And the rest.
You can't.
And God knows how many before the first one.
Yeah. It's just nonsense, isn't it? PB is saying to us here, like the Mobius Doctors were just a bit of fun, eh? What harm did that do? And yet, I'm going to state again, I never got the fact they were Mobius Doctors. They were faces of Mobius. That's why he won the wrestle, because he's had more fights.
That was my take.
Yeah.
Although apparently that Philip Hinchcliffe said it wasn't. They were meant to be doctors, which is really weird, you know?
I don't know.
I think that's Hinchcliffe as a non-fan, which for a producer is always better. But I think that's Hinchcliffe for a non-fan, probably not understanding quite how, because the Appreciation Society was just kicking off around that time, wasn't it? And he wouldn't have had any inkling that it was going to go the way it did and that it'd be picked up, just in the same way that off-the-cuff comment in Deadly Assassin, after the 12th regeneration, nothing can prevent death for a Time Lord. And then it can only have 13 Doctors. That's it. You know, from that little throwaway comment.
Yeah.
But you remember fandom hated Deadly Assassin in 1976, and look at it now. So there you go.
Exactly.
We're all incredibly fickle.
Yeah, but fandom then was also a different beast, wasn't it? And it wasn't
it
wasn't the giant it is now. But it wasn't as split either. It wasn't as divided as it is now either. And it was only the Time Lords, wasn't it? They were, Robert Holmes wrote them, so they were quite devious. They were politicians, basically. People didn't like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why they didn't like it if you were a kid growing up with the 3 Doctors, which they all seem to be quite holier than thou. Matt 532 thinks was here. Hi, Matt. When I first saw Grant in the episode, I thought it related to the great intelligence somehow infiltrating the Doctor's generations. See, he has been in the show already, didn't he? Because he played that really spooky person and then the great intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, they're fun is driving fans insane. And Julianne is saying it to us here, just when I think I can't despise RTD any more than I already do. And Andy is saying too, it's utter tosh. It's also desperation, isn't it? I mean, it's just, they're all having fun.
Yeah, at our expense. Yeah.
And Phil is saying to us, what about David Banks from the stage show? Yeah, he's can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't start, Phil. Don't start it.
Yeah.
He's already going. We can't
He's
stop
going
him
now.
now.
Yeah. Well, it must be, because this guy has started to say, look, this alleged showrunner is saying everything's up for grabs now. Goodness knows who they're going to bring into it else. And I blame Stephen Moffat for this, to be quite honest. He was the one that started this, with shoehorning in a new incarnation where he didn't need one. He could have just brought back McGann.
Yeah, having the War Doctor, then they had the Fugitive Doctor as well. There's like, you've done it once already, don't do it again. But it's like, if you're going to bring back, you could have a Michael Jason as an evil version of the Doctor or something like that. Why not do that?
I know, yeah. But I say, in Day of the Doctor, Paul McGann would have played that version of the Doctor that didn't work, because the Doctor didn't end up pressing the blooming button. So that would have been brilliant. Fine. Yeah. He would have been great in that. Pooh's Lost Eyes is saying to us, RTD's one truly great episode is Midnight. It plays on the strengths. He's brilliant at writing small, parochial dialogue between normal people. This is basically what the whole episode is about. No, you're absolutely right on that one. That was quite a good one for him, wasn't it? But there you go. Thank you for that. So there we have it. The Shalka Doctor, because they think it's fun, is actually there. It's around there now. So he's not saying he's coming back in any way, shape, or form. He's not saying he's got, but to include it was just, it was just ridiculous in my opinion. Just absolute nonsense.
I know they're saying it's a joke, but if you're not going to follow up, it's like this constant chat about David Tennant, the 14th Doctor, is over there somewhere, but he's not going to be back at any time soon. I don't believe that for a minute. He's going to use Tennant at some point when he gets desperate again.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so. Sorry, Ian, go on.
No, I think that'll be it. It'll be when or if he gets desperate.
Yeah.
And looking at the success, in quotes, because it wasn't, of Gatwa's first season, he's going to be desperate pretty damn quick if he isn't already. Yeah. But he can't bring him in straight away because he's already filmed series 2 on the assumption everything will be a blazing success. So series 3, or whatever that form that takes, could possibly see it, or the spin-off. I don't know.
Well, I personally don't think they can bring back DT, because he's just not as popular, especially now, than he was. And we saw that actually in the specials, because the specials didn't get the huge millions that people were thinking, and now he's alienated even more. Yeah. So I don't think
It's a bit like, if you remember going back to season 4, when they had the Doctor's hand from the Christmas Invasion, they carried that on, and then they brought another Doctor back. That's why I think he's going to. He uses other bits, threads he's placed in the story, so he won't waste it, I don't think. Sadly. Yeah.
Well, I think it's very odd. If you haven't seen this, I wouldn't recommend it. Simple as that. I thought it was boring. And I'm glad they didn't go ahead with it, because what came back was Christopher Eccleston's first series, which was far superior than that. And I had a problem watching it as well, because it wasn't proper cartoon either. It was like those things you got the remakes, on the DVD.
It was more exciting waiting for it to download over dial-up than it was for actually watching the bugger.
The wonderful sounds of dial-up, that kind of.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Absolutely, those were the days. But thank you everybody for your comments on that particular one. I don't know. Keep it coming and let us know what you think about it all. This is it here. Look, Lex is saying, I feel so sorry for 2005 Doctor. Seems they are erasing out Doctor Who with now putting in Richard E. Grant. I don't know. Peter Cushing, yeah. Doctor Who, yeah. Juliana saying the specials were rubbish. Well, we'd agree with you on that. And it's insulting, says Richard E. Grant, paying the same fee as any other Doctor if he's now canon. What a rude, yes, Russell T. Davis is. And Dr. Howe is saying to us here, every Time Lord is the Doctor. Prove me wrong. You can't now. Because they can do absolutely anyone they want to. And PB is saying to us here, if everyone can be the Doctor, he's no longer special. That's the point, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
It really is. Neville is trying to say to us, look, the third series will be 3 Tennant specials. Yeah, not such a. They're going to be a huge flop. Absolutely. We've got this as well from Talents of Wayne Chiang saying Christmas 2026 Gatwa Tennant special incoming. Well, we're going to move on to that one now, actually, but we're a little bit earlier because we're going to be looking at Christmas 2024. Because have you seen Stephen Moffat has been talking to RadioTimes.com. Stephen Moffat talks Doctor Who Christmas special. Nicola Coughlan, I think that is, will break your heart. It looks like we're headed for an emotional, festive special. Oh, God.
Oh, he's going to cry again, is he? What a surprise.
More emotion, more emotive coming. And, oh, God. But this is Nicola, starring as Joy, who acts as the Doctor's companion in the Christmas episode, which is going to be screening over the festive period this year. We do think it's Christmas Day, but, of course, that's so long off. Hasn't been confirmed, but in the actual RadioTimes.com, now that the latest season of Doctor Who has come to a dramatic end, all eyes are on the Christmas special. Yes, it's a long while away, but there's already plenty of excitement. They're so funny. Surrounding the episode entitled Joy to the World, and it's clear to see why. Not for us. Former Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat has penned it, while Bridgerton darling Nicola Coughlan is confirmed for the cast. Moffat recently opened up about what fans can expect from Coughlan's character, drumming up even more excitement for the up-and-coming special. I'm really, really so excited by this. It's just so exciting. Nicola is wonderful in it. She will break your hearts, he told Island AM. I'm not allowed to say anything about it. At least I think I'm not allowed to say anything about it, so I'll just shut up, he added. The former showrunner also revealed that it wasn't as weird as it should have been to return to the sci-fi classic. It was just fun, and it was quite nice that I had my old job back for exactly one episode, and then I could go and lie down. Russell has to keep toiling away all the time, constantly, he explained. Davies himself has also teased what fans can expect from the special. I can't give away much more, but work has begun on it already, and it's mad. It's one of the maddest Christmas specials you'll ever see, he said during a behind-the-scenes video on YouTube for the Empire of Death. It's epic. It goes to so many different places, and it's a great story of who the Doctor is when he's alone. I seem to have heard all this before.
Yeah. Apparently, this is Moffat's last episode. He won't be back.
Right.
Yeah.
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 JT, you must excuse me.
Thank you, Third Doctor Ian. We'll see you again next time.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
See you later, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Bye, Ian. Take care. Have a lovely,
Yep.
You too.
See you later, pal. So, yeah, the thing about this story is they've started. This is the starting, Paul, who views about the build-up. They're trying to get that a bit. I mean, again, look at the wording on this. Now that the latest season of Doctor Who's come to a dramatic end, all eyes. There's plenty of excitement.
Yeah. Like you said, they keep saying this. Yeah. I've said to you before, they can't say it's a load of old crap, can they? Which is what we're expecting, you know.
I just think it's absolutely. I mean, they're really, really pushing it, aren't they? And it's only July, everybody. Let's see what you're saying in the chat very quickly, Paul, before we continue. Philip Tassini, hello, nice to see you. Doctor Who should have finished at number 12 generation as was originally planned. At this point, I'm actually inclined to agree with you. They should have just got rid of it there and then, to be quite honest. So thank you for that. More crying, says the talents of Wayne Chiang. Yay! Whereas YW2324 is going, ugh. You see,
I know they feel. Yeah.
Anthony is also saying, look, more soapy crap then.
Yeah.
And Will RTD says, Doctor How, kill off her character, a la Kylie. Oh,
that's what I was thinking when the picture came up of Nicola. Yeah.
Yeah. Cute Pie wants to know, why does that image make me think of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Oh, because it's. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Verusa Folk or something like that. I don't know what it was. Can't remember. And Paul Rose is saying, won't be emotional for me. I won't be watching it. Oh, I wonder how many people won't be. Richard is saying to us all, hooray, the Doctor is going to have a good cry. What a load of old dross. Glenn Piper is joining us and saying hello. Hello there, mate. Nice to see you. And Lex is saying to us here, should be called a crying Christmas rather than Joy to the World. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, Joy to the World, playing on the Christmas theme, but is it giving literally joy to the world to save the world? Probably being, no one cares.
It's very contrived, isn't it, really, to be honest? But
it is. It really is. Thank you, Andy. Andy Gledhill is saying to us here, it's a great stream as always. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And Terry Tees has joined us as well, saying hi all. Hello to you. What else we got? We got Cute Pryor saying, not going to watch it. And Dalek Eye, it will be joy like all the previous episodes. Oh, no. I can't believe it. An astronomical one. Thank you for your super chat. What do you think of the new Doctor Who series season just taking store was from Big Finish? I feel it would do well using those stories. What do you think of the new Doctor Who series just taking... you mean reusing? Well, I don't listen to them, so I can't comment on that. I've heard that they're going the same way the series has gone, so I don't think I'd be a fan. Paul, you're more of somebody that...
If they did early stories, possibly, because they were much better written at that point, and they've just diluted the market now. There's too much stuff they're churning out, so it's not as good as it was, in my opinion. But, you know, I think, as we said before, you need to have someone take over who's not a fan and has a real vision to make Doctor Who again, and not be too pretentious with it, and make it a proper show, you know?
Yeah. There you go. So I hope that answers your question there, Astronomical. I liked the original ones, but I gave up after Sagreus. I did try some of the Paul McGanns when he went to that other universe, but that was curtailed because they had to bring him back to ours for some bizarre reason, just because Christopher Eccleston was on the way. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I don't understand that either. But
yeah, because it had nothing to do with it. Why did they have to do all that? But
it started off quite well, though. There's is it Scherzo was a great story, the one that Rob Shearman wrote.
I've got it, but I can't remember it. I can't remember it at all. But thank you for your super chat, Astronomical. Hopefully Paul's answered your question there. And Sheila B is saying, "Oh my God, Christmas can't come too soon." Error.
Yeah, it's only July. Let's change the subject.
Yeah. No offense taken, Kirsty. And Frank is saying, will you be attending the Doctor Who proms? No. I think the question there will be, is anybody attending the Doctor Who proms?
So when is the Doctor Who proms? Did I miss something there?
Exactly. Yeah. It's coming up, and they haven't done any real promotion about it at all. It's a very smaller version of it as well, than ones because it's not that popular anymore. Probably get about 100 people in there. Terry Tees is saying to us here, I feel like crying every time I think about having to watch more of the New Who. I am totally on the same page as you.
Yeah, we have to review it. How do we feel? You know.
Yeah, and yes, Towns Wayne Chang is saying, "Is her name Joy? Is her name Joy?" Sorry if I missed that. Yes, that's her name. She's playing Joy. Joy to the World. So we've got all that there as well. Joy to the World would be RTD stepping down, says Paul Ashworth. Yeah,
wishful thinking, sadly.
It is wishful thinking. And Babette Bombshell is with us. Hello, nice to see you. And so is Pete. Hello, Pete. Nice to see you too. Thanks for joining us here on Who's Views. We've had a really good chat this evening. We've had a really good chat. We're just talking now about the Christmas episode and how they've now started to do these little talks and what have you. And yeah, that's the first piece I've seen from the Radio Times. David Long is saying to us, the Doctor is now way too humanized. I have a feeling he's going to be even more so at Christmas.
Yeah.
I really do. And Matt is saying, I can't remember any of the music from this series to have at the proms. They're probably going to rely on all the usual stuff they churn out and have done for the past nearly 20 years. You know,
and they often rely, like they did last time, on a lot of the classic stuff, which is far better, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Death of the Daleks music.
Nathan is saying to us here, I won't be watching. You'll be a fool too. R.I.P. Doctor Who. Love the show, guys. Thank you very much, Nathan. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we will be a fool if we watch it. I don't.
Yeah, that's an hour on Christmas Day we won't get back, but never mind.
If it is Christmas Day, we've had that.
It's Christmas Day,
yeah. But that was that particular one from the radiotimes.com. She's going to break our hearts. I'm so excited to find out how.
Yes, we'll be the judge of that. Yeah. So
exactly. Yeah. So that's listen. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening for these headlines. I hope you've enjoyed these. Dalek is saying to us here, what monsters can appear at the proms? Babies, a snot monster, and drag queens. Kids will love it. Oh dear. Yeah, because the rest of them are problematic. How will they get around that? Will the Cybermen and the Daleks, Davros, the Ice Warriors, they might scare any little ones that are there, you see, mightn't they? Oh, you can't have that anymore.
You can't do that. No.
I don't know. Well, listen, we're going to go off and get a cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining us here again on Who's Views for Headlines. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for your super chats. Thank you so much for your chats as well. It's lovely to see you. And it's great to catch up with you. I feel like I haven't seen you all weekend, even though I did. Quite frankly, Friday, Sunday, and today. But yes, keep in tune. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Please give us a thumbs up on this particular video as well. Do all the stuff that you know you've got to do. Paul, hope you've enjoyed that little chat.
I have. That was lovely to be back on Headlines, having a bit of a moan again. But
yes,
looking forward to coming back for another review, though, to get some more therapy. That'd be lovely.
That's how we're rocking and rolling on Who's Views now. We've got Headlines. It's going to be the mainstay. Whenever they drop a headline, you know we're going to be talking about it. And then we're going to have all these extra little shows as well to try and cheer us all up, including more from Who's Views Reviews. We're going to have another one of those coming up soon as well. So stay tuned with us. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Make sure you've run that bell. Keep on tabs with our Instagram and our Facebook, because that's where we put an awful lot of our information out to as well. And also keep an eye on the community tab as well here, because that's where I do put some tantalizing bits of bobs about what we're doing as well on that one. Thanks to Ian as well, who's gone off to have a life. Absolutely outrageous. Nice to see you all in the chat. We will be back. Thank you very much for saying good evening and good night to us as well. Thank you to all your comments. Really, 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 really... Phil.
Yeah, the really, gammons are back, Phil. The gammons are back. Yeah.
The gammons are here. It is lovely to see you. It's always a pleasure to come and chat with you all. It's absolutely fantastic. And thank you all for tuning in. Really, really do appreciate it. And again, thank you to all, to Kirsty, to Garbage, and to Problem Being for being in the chat, making sure everybody is having a lovely, lovely, lovely time in there. Evening time, Ticklers, great stream. Thank you again, Paul. I'm going to go and look at the emails now for those of you that have been emailing me. I'm going to try and catch up with everything there, but thank you for saying that. We will be back very soon. Stay tuned with us. We'll see you very shortly, Paul. Again, thank you very much. Until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.